Papa is a 2024 Hong Kong drama film with true crime elements. This movie is devastating. It utterly broke me emotionally. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of watched this movie without knowing much was going on. I just knew the plot. It deals with a father who has to deal with his son, a teenager who has schizophrenia and kills his sister and mother. And he has to sort of deal with the survivor's guilt aftermath, the sort of fallout of this, and the reconciliation with his son who's in a psychiatric hospital. So this movie is directed and written by Philip Young. He does a really good job. We got Sean Lau as Min Yuan. He runs a 24-hour shop with his wife, and he's got 2 kids. And one night after he's doing the 12-hour shift, he does the night shift, his wife does the day shift. His son gets a carving knife or the cleaver and attacks his family. So it becomes this is based off a true story, but this movie does a really good job of making it more about the family unit. This movie doesn't dive into the morbid curiosity of true crime, which a lot of North Americans and just general people like it. Like, I'm guilty of it too. It's interesting to look at sensationalize a story about brutal murders or people doing terrible things, hiding bodies in trunks and things like that. But this movie does a good job of fleshing out these were people. This was a family, and after the initial sort of shocking sort of beginning, we sort of dive in and out of sort of the consciousness of the father through flashbacks, and each flashback has like a chunk dedicated to one of the family members. So the first one we get is the dad, then the mom, then the daughter, then the cat, and then the son. And so that way there's a little bit of this formless sort of kind of like after the death of a loved one, you see like their favorite toy on the floor. You kind of get this sort of sweeping wave of a flashback of a memory. There's some really hard-hitting moments, like the scene where he's on the computer. The dad then asks his daughter to turn on the light, but he forgets that he's alone in the house, and it's sort of a habit. And there's some great acting here from Sean Lau. He's a veteran, obviously, of acting, but he's really good in this film. There's a scene in the middle of this film where he has a breakdown in his living room, and it's very harrowing, raw, emotional stuff. You get that secondhand embarrassment because usually men aren't seen crying too much in film, but in this one it's earned, and it's really like done well, and it's realistic, and the movie plays with tone so well because there's a fine line between making stuff saccharine and then making stuff morbid for the true crime elements, but the movie manages to dodge both of those bullets by just making this a normal drama with the flashbacks, and then of course the stark sort of contrast with the modern day, the reality of after. So the way the director does this is all of the flashback scenes are sort of filmed with a vibrancy and color and warmth, a lot of sunlight. It almost makes it feel unnatural, like a dream. And then when they cut to reality, the modern day, everything's sort of flat and gray and kind of cold and stark and sterile, which is definitely a dramatic touch, but it's also an artistic touch done by the director on purpose. So you can definitely tell how they're feeling just based on like what you see, and the performances are really good too. Sean Lau obviously amazing, but the wife, the son, he has to play sort of detached a little bit because he's got acute schizophrenia and hallucinations, and it's a scary situation because this also happened in my country too. There was a incident on a bus where a man named Vincent Lee attacked someone sleeping on the bus. They were going on a trip, and he didn't know this guy, and took his head off essentially with a knife. And it was really brutal stuff. Schizophrenia. The guy I think he's changed his name now. He's living somewhere else. He's been released, and it makes people uneasy. Same with the son in this movie. This is obviously based off a true story, but at least they're not sensationalizing the morbid nature of the murders. The movie's definitely pontification on grief, really, and survivor's guilt. But the movie really touched me emotionally too, because I lived with a big family. I have my parents and my siblings, and I'm the older brother, so I'm supposed to be the more protective one, watching out for my siblings. But watching the Ming in this movie, he sort of can't help his illness sort of supersedes, you know, the protectiveness of loving his own loved ones. So it's just sort of tragic to see that happen. He apparently also tried to attack someone on the street, but it didn't work. And, you know, the movie could have easily, I mean, in real life, it could have been any other way. It could have easily been him just attacking a classmate or something. There's a scene where he's yelling at classmates. So the movie is a delicate topic, but masterfully directed and written by the director, who manages to weave a fine line between not making the flashbacks too like cutesy family outing and not delving into the true crime elements to make it sort of sensationalize the morbid nature of the true events that it's based on. So Papa is a near perfect 10 out of 10.